What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the 12th day of November, and here we are at about $104.8 thousand with 10 hours and 38 minutes left in the day. A little bit of volatility over the past 24 hours. We're going to see if we can provide that this is a low of which we're moving higher out of. Now, what I will say right off the bat is yesterday's candle is pretty ugly. It's a bearish engulfing candle. Okay, it engulfed yesterday's, the day before's price entirely. And where we found resistance, where we rejected from, is not necessarily an ideal area to reject from, right? We found resistance at prior support, and we had a proper rejection, is what I would say. Now we're coming back up today. We got 10 hours, 37 minutes left in the day. It's possible that we're rejecting the rejection, that this was some kind of farce, but we need to come back up here promptly. And really, I think we need to get above this level. We need to break back above the support zone, because when we do, we likely will not stop anywhere near this line. We'll likely continue until we hit a resistance zone, which will be, all the way up at 116.4K to potentially 123K, up in that area, or beyond. Bitcoin needs to get above this level. It needs to get back above this support zone and not confirm it as resistance. That's what it needs to do. So let's look at the 1 hour time frame. It's very possible with this kind of look where we rejected here yesterday. It's very possible that we have lower to go still. It's something to consider, that we could go below these lows here. Wouldn't that create mass mayhem and pandemonium? Let's see. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame, and then we'll zoom out from there. Hit the like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. Okay, here we are. Looking at the 1 hour time frame, right off the bat, I can tell you I don't like the way that last hour closed. Not a whole lot of volume. Good little bit of volume on the way down. Let's just look at this overall. From a low to the high. Come on. Just shy of the golden ratio. Just shy. But you came all the way back to touch the 236. You hit your 0.5 and then you hit your 236. That would make me think that we come down lower. That would make me think that we come down lower. And we are finding resistance here at prior areas of support here, right? And prior support right there. We're finding resistance all in this zone. We're not really rejecting it yet. 35 minutes left in this 1 hour, and we have hours to go before this day's over. A little bit of volume on the way up, not so much right now on the way down, but this move has just started on the way down if it is down. Right now, this does make me consider, the golden ratio as a target area for support, 101.5 to 102.1, somewhere in there. It's possible. I'm not completely behind this, but it's just something that we should consider, okay? It's possible that we go lower. It's not something that I'm 100% on, but if we do go lower, just understand golden ratio 102.1 to 101.5, or oftentimes enough when you interact with the 0.5, you actually do bust through the golden ratio, and you'll see the 786, 886. So 99.9K to 102.1K, this whole range is a possible target if we do proceed to lower lows than this here. Okay, at this point, I'm not convinced that we'd go below these lows. We'd probably find a higher low still. 4 hour time frame if we're looking at this. Zooming out. Oh, we didn't even look at our indicators. Yeah, the RSI is rejecting the overbought zone. That's not good. You would need to find support at the 60 and get back into the overbought zone, or the 50 if you want to absolve yourself of going below this low. Stochastics are overbought. That's not necessarily bad. It's not bad. Nothing to go off of there. If they cross out of the overbought zone, that could be bad. The MACD, see, it's in an interesting position because we could either cross above the zero, which would actually be positive, or reject the zero here, and that would be a negative thing. You're in a place to make it or break it on a few of these indicators, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens next. I'm not really sold one way or the other yet. At this point, if I had to lean one direction, I suppose I'd be leaning to the downside. But let's move on, okay? Looking at the 4 hour time frame, 104.7K is the price. Right, we've got this little upward sloping momentum here. It almost seems as though we're in a bear flag, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Doesn't it look like the Canadian hockey stick of death? Damn Canadians! Shout out to the I don't know what to call them. Shout out to the people in the Great Wide North, our Canadian friends. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, oh, look at this. Look at this. It's like the same thing. No. Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry. That is the same. It's the exact same thing. Never mind. I thought I was taking this fib here from a high to a low, which coincidentally is like the same thing. Wow. Okay. Wow. Look at so here. You reached for the golden ratio, but you stopped at the 0.5. Now you're coming down. Here on this fib, right? Different fib, right? Low to high versus this one. It's a different fib. right here, reached for the 0.5, missed the golden ratio, came down. Missed the golden ratio, hit the 0.5, came up, right? It's the opposite. It's like the opposite end of the spectrum. Might we go down to the 236 then? If we can hold support at 103.6K, that's a good thing. If we can hold support there, but if we break below there, we likely do take out this low, and we go to those lower targets that we just discussed, okay? If we take out 103.6K. 4-hour time frame here. The MACD makes me think that we bounce here. Wow, the 4-hour and the 1-hour MACD give me positive feelings. The stochastics are positive. And the RSI overall really is positive too. How are we doing within this trend here? Okay, so we broke out of it a little bit, but we came back to it. That's somewhat okay, honestly. That's okay. I'd really like to see this 4-hour time frame close green and not reject. Or if you close red, just close red here, but then the next one has to close green. I'd like us to build. I'm not getting a whole lot of volume, and that's okay. So I'm cautiously optimistic here. I'm cautiously like bullish. I do feel like we are going to continue to move up, but I might be wrong. I might be getting myself set up for failure here. Oh, that just looks so clean. And this is the high to the low of the overall range that we've been in since the 10th, right? Yeah, the 10th of October. It's already the 12th of this month. Crazy. That crash was already over a month ago. This looks too clean, man. It looks too clean, too respected. I'm calling for us to go higher. Now, we might go lower from here. We might go lower by the time you watch this. Maybe we are below 104.9K, but I don't think that we go below this low, and I do think that we'll move higher up to our golden ratio, 109 to 110.7K, somewhere in there, okay? If we're not stopping there, it's only because we went higher, because, again, if you interact with the 0.5, the only times... I have to start this off the right way. Typically with the fib retracement, when you're going up to the golden ratio, on your first attempt, you find resistance. On your second attempt, you open up the doors to break through. On your third attempt, you certainly most likely would break through, right? First attempt, though, you almost always find resistance. Unless, and sometimes you just rip right through the roof, it happens, but the times whenever it's a little bit more obvious and you're not just getting like a straight V-shaped recovery is whenever you interact with the 0.5. It's statistically more probable, for whatever reason, that you break through the golden ratio on your first attempt, which this would be the first attempt since the low. We have not interacted with this level yet. It's more likely to break through the golden ratio and hit the 786, 886 zone when you've interacted with the 0.5. So the statistical probability that we break through here is higher now than it would have been if we didn't have this high here, right? So there's a chance that we stop at 109.4 to 110.7K. There's a chance. There's also a chance that we rip higher to 112.4 to 114.2 thousand dollars, somewhere up here. It just depends. It depends on what we want to do here. If I'm being fair, I think we do go to 112 to 114.2. What I'd like to see after that is that we find support at the golden ratio and move up. If not, we could come all the way back down and find support down here. Oftentimes, these breakthroughs the golden ratio on the first attempt, which this would be, they oftentimes do promote a lot of volatility. And you do pull back from this zone to this zone, typically. But we'll see. We will see. Bitcoin does like its 786. 112.4K might be the call. But I'm confident from here we will be moving higher, that we do not take out this low. If I'm wrong and we do take out this low, we likely hold support at 99.9K or 102.3K, whatever, something in that range, right? Overall, the 4-hour time frame gives me a little bit more optimism than the 1-hour time frame, and that's good. Daily time frame here, zooming out a little bit more. Again, I can't help but think that the Canadians are putting on some witchcraft here, and we're going to go to the downside. The Canadian hockey stick of death, man. Death and despair. You know, we've had a lot of like false bull flags and false bear flags. I hope you guys know whenever I say Canadian hockey stick of death, it's just a bear flag, right? It's just bear flags look like hockey sticks to me, right? Like a bull flag looks like a flag. I don't know, what would that be? The letter F? They look like Fs. Anyways, capital Fs at that. From a high to a low, all-time high to this low here. Yeah, I would think that we're moving higher. Yeah, we've definitely got higher to go. Let's look at our liquidation levels over the past 30 days for Bitcoin. Over the past 30 days now. A lot of shorts, not so many longs, but still, it's actually a low amount of longs and shorts altogether. 11.7 billion to 5.4 billion. That's like 17 billion in total leverage positions. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's very low actually for Bitcoin. That's some of the lowest that we've seen since July as far as total leverage position goes. Liquidity is definitely either sidelined or exited the market. It's the same thing. 105K now. Yeah, it looks like we are going to move up, guys. That's good. That's good. I'd rather see that. Good. The 1 hour was lying to us. If we're looking at the daily indicators, the RSI, perfect here, right? Same areas that we bounced from every single time. It's a nice look in itself. The MACD does have a little bit of bullish divergence, but I think we're seeing that move come to life now. And the stochastics are the real giveaway. They tell me that we are going to move higher. So I think that's what's going to happen. The daily MACD as well looks like it's about to cross to the upside. That'd be nice to see. Typically, not always, but typically when we cross green, which we are about to do, when the blue line gets above the orange line, we cross green. Typically, we have more than just one day of building bullish momentum. It's not just like a false cross like this or like this, right? Those false crosses typically happen when we are in the midst of a downtrend, right? Where here we're kind of at the base of a downtrend. So, I mean, I guess we're in the midst of it now, right? Lower highs and lower lows, but it's more, this was more, like that false cross actually happened to this area here before we even, where was this? It was like a false red cross. It wasn't even a false green cross. This was just a decay in bullish momentum. This was an actual false cross here, and that was in the midst of a downtrend, right? But we weren't at the low. Here we're at the low. So I don't think, all I'm trying to say is I don't think we'll get a false cross. And typically we don't. Typically you get more readings, but if we look at this, just quick measurements here, I mean, here we were more or less bullish for 41 days as far as bullish momentum goes. The last couple of readings that we've had, this was like 16 days. This here was 8 days, more than a week. This was about a week here, right? That was literally about a week. So, I mean, we're about to cross green. That doesn't mean that every candle is going to be green or moving up for the next week, but over the next week, we should see some bullish stuff come in, if not more than just the next week. And I do theorize, being on the 12th day of November here, that we will continue to rally going into the end of the month. I'd be very surprised if by the end of November, Bitcoin was not at new all-time highs, okay? I don't know how many people are calling for that. I feel like that's a very obvious call. But again, I should pay attention more to what other influencers are calling for, because getting a consensus is definitely helpful, I think. Not because the consensus is accurate, but because whenever everybody thinks one thing, maybe it's beneficial to think the other thing. Like if everybody was thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, then it might be beneficial to not be bullish here. But I am bullish. I can't help but being bullish here. Looking at this overall, from our highs to our lows, we are in this megaphone pattern. We talk about this every single day because it is a very large pattern that we're in right now. We've been in it since July. We've got a very well-formed pattern. It's done everything that we've needed it to do. It's moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs. We've had 5 legs, which is pretty typical. And on that 5th leg, we had partial decline, which is where you reach for this trend line, you can't hit it, and that's because there's either not enough selling momentum, there's not enough, or there's too much buying pressure, whatever it might be. You don't hit that line, and typically that leads to a breakout to the upside, typically. If we do break out, the measure move of this pattern would take us roughly to like $160,000, $165,000, somewhere up here. Yeah, at this level right there, 165K, 160K. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't really know if I have anything else that I want to say. I think I've said everything I need to say. Bitcoin looks like it's on track, and if I'm correct, right, today is Wednesday. If I'm correct, we should have a bullish end of week, and I think this week will be bullish, which is nice, but I think next week is the real week to get excited for. And then probably that week and going into the end of the month, the second half of the month, I think is shaping up to be well. We'll see. Weekly MACD. See, this is something that we haven't talked about actually, is that it's so obvious that we're at the low. And we've talked about it to some degree with the RSI. It makes so much sense that we're at the low because the RSI here is at the same areas that we've been every single time that we found support, right? It's a little bit higher, just a little bit, but roughly in that same area. Maybe we do have a little bit lower to go, but with that just tells us don't be afraid if we do. It's a very small amount lower that we'd have to go. But the RSI is showing signals like this. The stochastics, which have actually been more reliable, right? Because the RSI, or have they been more reliable? Maybe not. They've been just as reliable. I shouldn't say more reliable. When the RSI was down here, the stochastics were here. On the weekly time frame, every time we've hit the oversold zone, which we've just hit this week, that's been the areas of our lows. Was it the exact proper precise low as soon as we got oversold? No, we went a little bit lower here. Here we got oversold. We went a little bit lower after that. Here we got oversold and we went a little bit lower after that. Here we're not getting oversold. We're just at the area to bounce off the oversold zone, which a bounce off the oversold zone or rejection would imply that the low is already in, but we'll see. And then the MACD, the oscillators here, look at the oscillators. They're literally at the same levels that they've been every single time we found a low as well, even back here right above the zero. So everything is showing signs of readiness to reverse. But again, if we go a little bit lower, even if we were to take out this low, which I don't think is going to happen. I'm only talking about this because I don't want people to freak out if it happens. But I don't think that we take out this low. But if it does happen, understand any weekly closes that are below this, they're only going to put us closer to the significant areas that have held us up this whole entire cycle. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. It might be fearful. If we see that happen, you might hear fearful news and stuff like that. People might be very loud on X trying to convince you to sell your bags, but don't do it. And I'm not talking about the downside. I'm not talking about going below this low because I think it's going to happen. I actually don't think it's going to happen. If I could stake my reputation on it, I would say I think the low is in and we're going to move up higher. But I've been wrong before and I can be wrong again. And if I am wrong, I don't want people to freak out. We'll probably barely go below this low and then we will recover. Then everything that we've talked about going to the upside will happen. I would doubt if we went below that low, I would doubt that we break below our trend line here. Okay. But I got nothing else. I'm just rambling at this point. So hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. All in all, I really think that Bitcoin is on a path to $160,000 to $200,000 by the end of this year of 2025. And we're likely going to be at new all-time highs by the end of this month here. So I got nothing else. Take care. Bye.